Hey, I am Hannah, a customer researcher, and this is episode 3. Let's go with survey 3 of the 50 surveys project. This project is where I tear down 50 surveys in 50 days with the goal of really focusing on the art of asking better questions so that we can collect better data. Surveys tend to have a bad rap, and kind of with reason. They're often annoying. They pop up. They're very formal, too long, too general, too vague. But the better we get at asking questions, the better data we have, the better relationships we have with our audience. And that's what we'll be kind of combing through and talking through examples over the course of the next 47 days now. But today's topic is the new subscriber survey. So I've got a little list of other surveys that I want to tackle, whether it's like post-trial or post-onboarding or cancellation. But I want to focus on this one because I was getting really excited about this particular topic. So Traf is someone that I found on Twitter, and I read about he has a blog post on his profile. Check him out, really cool guy. And he writes about how he made 6 figures in 6 days, and he kind of talks through that really transparent, really honest post. And part of what he shares, including sales and conversions, is like around 4,000 or 5,000 people joined his email list, so new email subscribers. And I was one of them. I signed up, and you can see here I pulled the Optin from his site. So really neat, short, very tidy opt-in here. And then once you opt in, you get a confirmation, which is great, that your email has been collected. And I noticed that I wanted an email, I wanted to see what was next, and I wanted to interact, and I wanted to engage. And having done many surveys myself, and kind of looking at the customer journey, this is such a great opportunity when someone just signs up for your list to kind of capitalize on and really roll out that momentum, right? So had he asked me something, had I gotten an email, I would have opened it right away. I was looking for it. And so I think this is a really prime space to talk to and start building relationships directly with your customers. Of course, the benefit of not doing that, of not having a survey that's lined up, is you don't have to deal with that, right? You don't have to deal with the survey. You don't have to create a survey. You don't even have to go down that road. You don't have to worry about annoying people. And then you don't have a lot of data to go through. That's not to say that there's no data at all. In Traf's case, and with other folks who have launched on Twitter, of course, there's all kinds of anecdotal insight. I mean, Twitter is such a pool of data, right? It just in all different shapes, sizes, and forms, like threads, and you're eavesdropping on other conversations. There's so much there. The beauty of an email list is there a different level of interest and attention that they are giving you. And so you can start to build a slightly different and stronger relationship there. But without kind of capitalizing on that momentum, now if you ask a question, you've lost a little bit of that momentum, really. And then it can kind of lead to more guessing in the future. But if you capitalize on it, if you ask a question, if you follow up, if you start building those relationships, you can funnel that back into future products that you develop, or product ideation, or how you optimize a particular product, how you message and market, and who you market to. It's really going to give you a sense of who's on your list. Is it mostly freelancers? Is it are there a lot of other designers? Are there a lot of marketers? Are there a lot of developers? And you might start to kind of tag or segment, or sort of provide different messages for different groups. It doesn't have to be that kind of way or get as complicated as that, but it really does start to help shape and kind of refine your messaging and the way you talk to your audience in future emails, in future posts, all of it. So in my opinion, more data is better as long as you actually would find it useful. So I wanted to share a couple of ways that you can do that. If you have a new list, if you have new subscribers, new folks joining, how can you kickstart that conversation? I'm going to talk through 2 ways here, both of which I've done and tried and had a lot of success with. The first is an opt-in survey immediately after signing up. I'm calling it a survey, but really it's just one question. And this would actually be in place of the second that someone enters their email, instead of having some kind of confirmation that the kind of widget has received their email, you send them a question. Like you have a question pop up, or they get sent to another page that asks a question. Typeform is great for this. Like all of these are pulled from Typeform. These are different questions I've used. So when I was focusing much more on customer interviews only, I asked this because I was really curious. Like I wanted to know where people were at. What made them want to learn about customer interviews right now? Where were they at in terms of what they struggled with? And that was going to help me kind of figure out what kind of information, what kind of insight I could share in future emails or content. This is a really useful one too that anyone can use, right? Like it's very generic enough that you can tailor it or you can keep it as is, but it really helps figure out like what is it that people are signing up for, what makes them interested, and that can start to hint at like what do they want to know, what are they hoping to learn from you, what are they hoping to find out. Like those are great questions too. And I wanted to share this. So this is the response rate that I got for these questions, 59.6%. When we look at the average response rate for just an average survey online that's external facing, so to customers or to the public, typically it's 10 to 15%. So this is way, way higher, and it really has to do with timing. The survey here is like, oh, you're already doing something, you're already opting in. Let me just ask you a question on the back end of it, as opposed to reaching out purely with the goal of asking a question. It's a separate thing. The survey becomes its own entity, and it draws a lot more attention, and it can feel kind of like work. But this doesn't, right? This is like, oh, hey, by the way, this is like the by the way survey, which is great. So you can really ask whatever it is that you want. You know, what brought you to my page. You can ask like what sort of role they have and give them some multiple choice. What would you like to hear from me next? Like there's a whole bunch of things that you can do and keep kind of changing it up and really build that better relationship with your audience. Next, the next recommendation is to ask new subscribers to reply, or you can even do an in-email survey. So the first two are examples of asking new subscribers to reply. This is an idea for so your first email, maybe your first couple of emails. Folks are reading, likely they just signed up, they're waiting for that email. And this is great to kind of get that conversation going. It's not as formal, like you're not in a survey, you're collecting the data. Probably it's going to, in Typeform, it gets populated into a spreadsheet. But in this case, it's going to land into your inbox. So not as formal in terms of collection, but still really, really useful. And you know that if people are replying, they want to reply. Like they care, they're engaged enough to reply. So asking them a question, and inviting them to tell you more about them. You can ask them what they liked most about your post, or where they're at, if this is something they're trying to do, and really learn anything. It's pretty informal space and very easy to strike up a conversation there, especially with new subscribers. And the other option is an in-email survey. So this is not exactly a survey here, but it's easier than a survey. So this is once you get a sense of who's on your list, if it's designers, let's say designers, developers, and marketers, you can have them kind of click one of these links, and automatically on the back end, you would create a way to tag them. And then you would start this would be in an email service provider, like an Active Campaign is what I use, Drip's another platform, or MailChimp, and you can essentially start to really segment and personalize your messaging because you really understand your audience. So this might be something that's different roles. It could be different levels of expertise or experience with a particular topic. So you can really kind of cut and slice and dice this any which way you want. But the moment that someone clicks on a particular link, they will be tagged as such. And so then if you want to only send emails to that particular segment of your list, you can do that. So slightly more advanced, and Definitely useful once you have a much bigger list and you want to start creating more niche products that might be relevant to some people on your list and not everyone. But there are easier ways. There is that hit reply and the by the way survey, both of which are really great ways to just capitalize on that momentum, build that relationship with your audience, and kind of meet them and demonstrate, like, not really demonstrate, but just sort of meet them that like they're interested in signing up with you, and then you kind of show some interest back with asking them a question. Couple thoughts there. Hope that's helpful. That's it for today's teardown, and I will see you in tomorrow for survey teardown number 4.